What's goody? Hey man, so earlier today a report came out that the Memphis Grizzlies are looking to trade John Morant, and it looks like they've got two suitors who they're looking to trade him to. Now, from all reports I've seen, nobody has said who the two suitors are, and they haven't really mentioned anything about what any trade packages would be or anything like that. But it says that the Grizzlies are entertaining offers to potentially trade John Morant ahead of the NBA trade deadline on February 5th. And there's I don't have as much to say about this one as I did about the Trae Young thing, but what I will say is that this is just so interesting to me how all of these point guards, Trae Young, John Morant, Luca last year, I think at some point this is going to happen to Darius Garland. Kobe White right now is in a lot of trade talks, and it's just so interesting to me how so many of these good, really good point guards in the NBA are just out of their teams right now, how these situations are changing so fast, how these guys are just kind of moving around so fast, these pieces are moving around so fast and everything like that. And I want to look at this from a couple sides. First, I want to look at this from the John Morant side of things. Then I want to look at this from the Memphis Grizzlies side of things. And then I want to look at this from who could possibly be trading for John Morant. Now, the first thing I want to say is if I'm John Morant, I don't think I'm really happy about this because my value right now is at an all-time low. And I'm a guy who has lost pretty much all of his love from the fans. I feel like John Morant was a guy that was a fan favorite, a guy that kids loved, a guy that people looked at to be a potential MVP candidate in the future, one of the faces in the league, and he just isn't that anymore. I don't see John Morant in ads anymore, and I don't see John Morant's face plastered even when the Memphis Grizzlies are playing. A lot of times, even if John's playing, it's going to be Jaren Jackson's face that's up on there showing the key players for the matchup and everything like that. So as somebody who thinks that John Morant is still a good basketball player, the value for John Morant right now, I think the market for John Morant right now is super low. So I think that if I'm John Morant, I really don't love this because you already have a home in Memphis. And sure, things may not be growing great, but I don't think that the relationship is so bad with management that John Morant would just automatically want out. And then I don't think that there are a whole bunch of situations that John Morant could go to that would be better. Or at least better for him. Like, I don't think that there's going to be a whole bunch of teams that are trading for John Morant right now that are in a better situation either now or in a better situation in the future, especially considering the fact that Memphis got those 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bane. I don't see a team out there that's in a better situation than Memphis that's looking to say, hey, yeah, I'm willing to go look at John Morant, because if I look at the Washington Wizards and what they did with Trae Young, at least over there I can say, okay, we didn't give up anything to get him. We got an all-star, all-NBA level guy, and this is a guy that meshes well with our team. He's going to be a guy that's one of the leading assist guys in the NBA. He's going to throw lobs to Alex Sarr. He's going to get Alex Sarr involved. He's going to get Keyshawn George involved. He's going to help Trey Johnson develop. Like, the only player on that team whose development he's probably bad for is Bub Carrington. Other than that, I really love the Trae Young fit in Washington just to help them, just to be a vet presence and everything like that. I look at John Morant, and not only do I think he doesn't offer you a lot of those same things on the court, which is why I think not a lot of young bottom feeder teams would want him. But then there's just also off-court issues. So it's like if you have a young bottom feeder team and you're looking for vet leadership, John Morant's not the type of guy you want to bring in because he hasn't proven that he can be a leader. So if I'm John Morant right now, I really think this situation kind of sucks for him. And it's just so interesting to see just kind of the fall from grace with how everything has happened over these last couple of years with John Morant. Now, from the Memphis Grizzlies perspective, you waited too long to get off of the John Morant thing, but I do understand why you would wait. I mean, this is a guy who has been an all-star for you. This is a guy who won Rookie of the Year for you. This is a guy who has been an all-NBA second-team player. This is a guy that has taken you to the playoffs a couple times and taken you to the second round of the playoffs at least once. So I can understand, and then this is a guy who was looked at to be a potential face of the NBA. So I understand firing your coach for him, and I understand doing all these things for him. Even though I didn't agree with the Taylor Jenkins firing, I can see why you did it. But I do think it was time for the relationship to end. So if I'm the Memphis Grizzlies, the only thing that I worry about as like somebody who's analyzing this, if I were a Memphis Grizzlies fan, is that you take this guy who was a point guard that was an All-NBA guy and a Rookie of the Year guy, like I mentioned a couple of years ago, and now you're like, damn. If Trae Young was only good enough to get an expiring deal, CJ McCollum, and Corey Kispert, I mean, what do you think John Morant's going to get? Because I don't think anybody in their right mind right now would tell you that John Morant has more value than Trae Young. I don't think anybody in their right mind right now would even tell you John Morant's a better basketball player than Trae Young. I don't think he does more for you on the court than Trae Young, and he's more of a distraction for you off the court than Trae Young is. So I just don't see how, after looking at the Trae Young trade, you go to John Morant and you say, oh yeah, I think we're going to get a better package. A better trade package for him than they did for Trae Young, because then you go and look at the teams. And this is the part that really interests me about this thing, and this is one of the reasons that I don't really I'm not 100% confident that John Morant's going to actually get moved before the deadline because I just don't see that many landing spots for him. I go through the league and I say, okay, Detroit, they don't need him. Boston, for sure they could do something with the point guard, but are you really going to give up Anthony Simons to go out there and get John Morant and then pair John Morant with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum? Low key, of all the teams, depending on how it would work to make the money match, depending on if they had to give up any other role players besides Anthony Simons, Boston is one of my favorite fits for him just because he would go there and he would be the third guy. He doesn't have to really go there and do anything. He doesn't have to go there and demand the ball, and I don't think he would go there and get the ball a lot. The thing is, he's not a shooter. He doesn't fit into the Missoula ball thing. He's not a defender, so I actually don't like that anymore. I take it back. We go to the New York Knicks, and they don't need him at all. We go to the Toronto Raptors, and while we do want a point guard, he's not the type of point guard I want. I don't want a point guard that's going to try to be a ball-dominant, a score-first type of point guard. I wanted Trae Young because I think Trae Young would do a really good job of being able to both get guys like Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes involved while also playing off of them when they have the ball and when they're trying to go to work a little bit. Now, I understand that Trae Young isn't the best off-ball player offensively, and that's why I'm not mad at us. I still don't like that we didn't go to get Trae Young, don't get me wrong. But as I continue to sit here and continue to think about it, I understand it a little more because it's like, yeah, but when he's off the ball offensively, he just doesn't do much. And he would have been off the ball offensively a good amount for us because we have Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes, who are two guys that sometimes just take a possession where they might want the ball the whole time, especially Brandon Ingram. But then you go to the Philadelphia 76ers. You don't need him. So it's like, okay, the Boston I don't love because I just don't love the fit alongside Joe Mazzulla and those guys and everything like that. But if so far, it's my favorite. Toronto, I don't love it because I just don't think he's the type of point guard they would want. I could see them going to get a Darius Garland type of guy. I could see us going to get maybe even a lesser tier point guard. But I don't see the Raptors going to get a John Morant. And if they did, I mean, sure, I'd be happy because it's an all-star, but it would just depend on the package because really I don't want John Morant. Philadelphia 76ers don't need him. Orlando Magic, after what they did with Desmond Bane, they aren't gonna trade Franz or Paolo for him. And you know damn well Desmond Bane's not gonna go. So what are you gonna do? Who are you gonna trade for him? You gonna trade Jalen Suggs for him? You could probably argue Jalen Suggs is more value than him right now. So, but Jalen Suggs is the odd man out over there. So that could be an interesting thing. I just don't like the fit over there though. They already don't have a lot of shooting. They're already just a weird team. I just don't like the fit over there. With that, Miami Heat, I mean, they're always in conversations to get names like this, but we look at it and I'm like, not really. I don't really think the Heat are a real team that's going to be in conversations for this. Now, granted, they are always in these conversations, and I wouldn't be necessarily shocked, especially with the way Bam is playing, if they wanted to go out there and add another piece. Honestly, of the team so far, John Morant to Miami would probably be the best one just because there's not as much of a structure over there. So it's like there's not that much to mess up. He can go over there. He can kind of rock out a little bit more. Atlanta is interesting because I think Atlanta should go out there and do everything they can to try to get Anthony Davis while keeping C.J. McCollum. But if they traded off of C.J. McCollum, I mean, they would need a point guard. I don't know how they would do it. They probably wouldn't be able to do it because what are you trading C.J. McCollum for? Because now you have no money left unless you still kept Kristaps Porzingis. And then do the Grizzlies want Kristaps Porzingis? Then again, it doesn't matter what the Grizzlies want. Is his value so low that it no longer matters? I don't know. Anyways, we go to the Bucks. You could try to pair John Morant and Giannis, but I mean, if I'm the Bucks, I don't really think I would want to do that. We tried to do this with Dame. So do I really think that the John Morant pairing with Giannis is going to be a better fit, especially if I'm losing Kuzma or Miles Turner or Bobby Portis, than the Dame fit with Giannis? No. So I wouldn't do that. Charlotte Hornets don't want him. Brooklyn Nets, I just don't see why they would do it. Wizards don't need him anymore. Pacers obviously don't need him. We go to the Thunder. They don't need him. The Spurs, they don't need him. The Lakers, they don't need him. The Nuggets, they don't need him. The Rockets could use a point guard, but I don't see the Rockets giving up a piece that they actually love for John Morant. But then I also just don't think it helps a lot of the things that the Rockets need. Like, I feel like the Rockets are a team that don't really need the things John Morant would give you. Like, I do think they could use some more point guard help, but I don't know that he's necessarily the type of point guard you want because maybe actually John Morant to the Rockets, I don't hate that. It depends what they give up because if you don't have to give up Jabari Smith or anything in there, which you probably don't because Trae Young got traded for nothing, so would he. You give up like a Dorian Finney-Smith or something and maybe some other random things, or you give up a Tari East and some other small stuff to go get John Morant. I actually don't hate that just because it would give Kevin Durant another guy that's not Alperen Sengun that you trust in the clutch, because a lot of times you don't really trust Alperen Sengun with the ball in his hands in the clutch because when it comes to that dribbling stuff, man, it's not always the prettiest. Minnesota Timberwolves need a point guard. But I don't know how much I love the John Morant-Anthony Edwards combo except for anything but highlights. And I also just don't know that if they weren't willing to give up Naz Reid for Trae Young, I don't think they're going to be willing to give him up for John Morant. So other than that, what are you going to do? Give up Dante DiVincenzo? I mean, you could, but I feel like you kind of might want him because you don't have a lot of play at his position. You don't have a lot of shooting either. So you probably want him, and then you're obviously not giving up Jaden McDaniels or Julius Randle or anything like that. Phoenix probably isn't going to do this. Phoenix is overachieving right now, and with the things that they're doing, they just aren't going to have the flexibility to go out here and make moves like that. And even if they were, I think it would ruin the chemistry of the team, and I also think it would low-key turn the fans off a lot. The Warriors need to do something, but getting John Morant isn't going to be that something. The Blazers could do something. But they have Dame coming back next year. Why would they go get John Morant? They wouldn't. The Grizzlies obviously have him, and then it's like Dallas Mavs. I don't think the Mavs are going to do anything to go get a guy like Ja. I think the Mavs are more focused on the AD problem. The Clippers, I just don't see there being a massive market for John Morant because I look at the Clippers, the Jazz, the Kings, the Pelicans. It's like the Kings maybe because they need something. Maybe the Pelicans get desperate and they try to, I don't know, do something to save their season a little bit. But dude, come on, bro. You look around the team and you say there's maybe, 2, 3 realistic landing spots for John Morant. I was looking at Trae Young, and I thought Trae Young had 4 or 5 at least, and they were saying only the Wizards were interested in him. So how much less for Ja? Yeah, this is just an interesting situation, man. Let me know what y'all think about it and everything like that. Let me know what y'all predictions are for what teams he could potentially be traded to. Like I said, I don't hate the Raptors fit. I mean, the Celtics fit isn't the worst, and then the Rockets fit isn't the worst either. But other than that, I mean, the Heat fit isn't terrible. Other than that, I just don't love any of it. But yeah, let me know what y'all think about this, man. I love it. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for watching as always. Please don't forget to keep God first no matter what. All right? Let me know what type of content y'all want to see. Predictions for the NFL playoffs coming soon. All right? I love y'all. Peace out.